Welcome into the PHNX Cardinals post-game show. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Britton Golden. The Arizona Cardinals knock off the Dallas Cowboys in upset fashion, 28-16, earning their first win of the 2023 season and their first win under new head coach Jonathan Gannon. BG, how did they get it done?
They did exactly what we talked about. They finished in the second half. They got points late in the second half. When it counted, when it mattered, they got two huge stops at the end of the game. That fourth down stop was a crazy stop, and it really changed the tempo of the second half.
Yeah. Do you have a fire in your gut? This team should be 3-0 right now. They handled Dallas. I mean, think about it. They didn't allow a touchdown in the entire second half. They gave up 2 field goals after last week's defensive collapse. I mean, the offense was good. We're going to talk about that. But, man, I will give all the credit in the world to Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon. They lose Zaven Collins. They lose Chris Barnes. Buda Baker doesn't play. Keitrell Clark's having to guard CeeDee Lamb one-on-one on the outside, a 6th-round rookie. What they have done defensively is nothing short of masterful, given the players that they have available.
It's fun to watch, too, especially with, like you said, when you've got a lot of your key players out, to see these young guys come in and step up and become leaders of their own, knowing they've got to rise to the occasion for this and actually putting out and doing what they're supposed to do is great to see.
It's absolutely great to see. It's great to see all of you like this video. Hop in, leave us a chat. We got some super chats I want to get to right off the top. AZ Fan, $19.98, $5, friend of the program. How about them Cardinals? The Arizona Cardinals just shut the whole social media world the hell up. This ain't taken for no one. Let's go. Absolutely. I tweeted it out. Like, the Chicago Bears are what everybody thought the Arizona Cardinals were going to be. Maybe even the Denver Broncos. It wasn't your boy who was hoping and praying for Sean Payton. That wasn't me. The Arizona Cardinals, we joke, we jest. They are as competitive as anybody would have thought. They have outperformed everybody's expectations, and they have done it, I would say, 90% coaching. With respect to the players, I mean, Josh Dobbs, people thought that was a tank move. Oh, you cut Colt McCoy? Josh Dobbs, you know how many turnovers he's had in terms of interceptions in 3 weeks? How about 0? How about the run game? It's the best offensive line run game combination I've seen as a fan of this team for 35 years. The coaching cannot be overstated how impressive they've been, BG, 3 weeks in.
And it has. And even game one, especially defensively, game one, we all sat here and said, man, they looked really good. And then you had to hear the outside noise talking about they played a really bad Washington team.
Yep.
And then they came out, and they still had success last week on defense. But to come out here and to shut down arguably a top 5 team in the NFL right now,
yeah,
and keep them only field goals in the second half. They got 1 touchdown total in the entire game. You can't say enough about JG and Rottless right now. They're doing a hell of a job.
This post-game show, by the way, is brought to you by our friends at Four Peaks. Check them out, Four Peaks in Tempe. It's fantastic. Perfect beverage to crack open for this post-game show. I told you I made a bet at halftime. Cardinals were going to lead. I put a bet on the Cardinals. I did. It cashed. We're ready to spend it. Maybe on some super chats today, but we're having fun in the chat. And again, 450 plus. Hit that like button. It's a celebration. We get our first Victory Monday tomorrow, but we enjoyed today, BG, because again, what does it say for this locker room after the collapse last week? Should have beaten the Giants, probably should have beaten the Commanders. You're facing a Cowboy team high on themselves, feeling good about themselves. To the effort of this team, I mean, what can you say about it?
It speaks to the leadership that's in that building, in the locker room. The guys, the leaders of that team came together, especially after last week, and said, look, guys, we've been competitive. We've been in every game. We should have won every game we've played. And I think they got it. They got their point across. Everybody kind of band together this week and said, we're not going to collapse in the second half. No. And they didn't.
We're going to be joined by Bo Brack later in the show at State Farm Stadium. He's going to hear from Jonathan Gannon and company following JG's first win. And I would say the gut meter is going to be pretty high after this one, the effing gut meter. More super chats. Charles, thank you so much. $10. Simply, they did it. They did it. We went on the halftime show. We predicted they would get the job done. Now, none of us picked them to win the game on the pregame show. Maybe that's a theme. We don't pick them during the week, and then
You should just bet against them before the game starts.
That's
there we
right.
go.
I don't want to do that. But right now, I mean, how can you be saying anything other than this team should at least have a winning record right now? I mean, they have an immense. When's the last time they've turned the ball over? They've gone 2 straight games with no turnovers and rushing for, here's the rushing total for today. They rushed for 222 yards on the ground, 7.4 yards per carry on the ground.
And you're going to win the majority of the games you play when you're running the ball that well, because all that does is bring more defenders into the box and get you one-on-one situations out wide. And we saw that exposed with the Michael Wilson big long catch, a couple Hollywood Brown catches. They were forced to go out and play man coverage, and we took advantage of it.
Absolutely. And I'm going to take advantage of these super chats because you guys are so fabulous. Thank you so much cranking these in. We got so many. You'll absolutely love to see it. Free matter for the blind, $10, friend of the program. This brings a tear to my eye. To shove it to all those Cowboy fans in their faces in the game we weren't supposed to win. So satisfying. Such an important and massive win. Let's fucking go. You bring up a great point, free matter for the blind. This is a game. You tell those people from Dallas that fly in, no. You're not coming here to win. When's the last time the Cowboys have beaten the Arizona Cardinals? I feel like the Cardinals have won like 5 of 6 before today. So maybe think again when you want to walk into State Farm Stadium under this new regime. That might have flied under Steve Wilkes and Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury, right? JG and company, I mean, they're competitive at home. They produce at home. Josh Dobbs is out there looking like K1 with his legs. I mean, the people that were repping the red and the white today were given a well-deserved home win. The first win at home since last year, Thursday night, against the New Orleans Saints on primetime. So happy for those people who shelved out money that went and supported this team today.
Oh, yeah. And as a fan, you've got to be ecstatic because you finally got what you were coming to see at a home game. You got to see a team that put the complete package out there today. Sure, there was some drives that stalled and stuff, but nobody let that build. They just threw it away, got to the next drive, and produced.
Absolutely. People in the chat saying Cardinals have won 7 of 8. I knew it was something crazy like that. They've definitely won.
We lost
3
when I was here.
You did?
17. I think was the last time we lost.
So that was probably
we
it.
at home. Yeah.
Oh, man, BG. It's good vibes, though. We had good vibes in the studio today. Never did it felt like the wheels were going to come off. There were times in the second half we're going to get to it, but the player of the game today, I mean, I tweeted this out. It's so poetic. The guy that Jonathan Gannon said, when I come to Arizona, this guy, if he's available, if the Eagles let him walk, I'm going to pursue this guy, is Kazir White. Kazir White, one of JG's boys, right? How about this? 14 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and the key interception to intercept Dak Prescott, right? It was kind of Malcolm Butler, Russell Wilson, Super Bowl-esque to seal the game for the Arizona Cardinals. Because, again, I'm going to tell you right now, if the Dallas Cowboys score there, like, it's going to be very difficult for the Cardinals to win this game, given what's happened each of the last 2 weeks. For Kazir White to stand up and say, this is how we do things under Jonathan Gannon. I'm a Super Bowl caliber linebacker. I've come here, and he has elevated that unit outside of the second half against the New York Giants. Been exceptional.
And it was good. And that was, you can't speak enough about how well Kazir White played today. 14 tackles means he was all over the field today.
Yep.
And that interception is everything. Like you said, they scored a touchdown right there. Sure, they're still, the Cardinals are still winning, but now it's a one-possession game. If the Cowboys gets the ball back with their timeouts and they can score again, then a touchdown wins it for them. So I think that the interception right there is a big play, and it had to happen for the Cards to get this W, and he made the play when it was there.
Let's get to some more of these super chats. You guys are making the play here. You love to see it. Little Michael in the chat, $5. I was so juiced by the end of the game, I blared, whoop that trick and ham as a 34-year-old white guy. Let's fucking go, boys. Listen, as somebody who's rocking Jordan shoes for the first time in my life, as a 5'6" 35-year-old white man, you can do that here. This is a safe place for you, Adam C. Thank you so much. Jeremy Bailey, $2 super chat. Johnny called it up by half, said we win. I did say on Friday's show I wasn't going to pick them, but if they would not blow 3 consecutive halftime leads. I felt confident about that, especially last week was very difficult because I feel like they definitely missed Budda Baker. And it's not like they didn't miss Budda Baker this week, but they had all week to say, you know what, Dak Prescott, he's average. This offense, we're not buying the hype. And then Drew Petzing and company, I mean, back-to-back performances of 28 points for a team that's allergic to scoring 28 points with Josh Dobbs. I mean, it's a masterful job up and down. We're going to talk about the offense, but BG, I mean, in particular, what the Cardinals were able to do minus Budda Baker, minus defensive linemen, minus Zaven Collins who left the game. I mean, it's a product of their culture that they're building.
And it is. And it's giving guys confidence. It's giving hope in there. And it's going to build that little thing right there, the camaraderie and everybody in that locker room to where now every time they step foot on that field, it knows, look, we beat a top 5 team already in week 3. We can beat anybody that lines up against us. And I think that's the culture that JG and company's trying to orchestrate in that locker room, and it's starting to show.
Absolutely. Get back to some of these super chats because you guys are so gracious here. Adam C, $1.99. Good thing I'm hammered that money line. The money line last night, I was walking my dog, and I'm like, maybe it dipped under plus 500 with our friends at BetMGM. No. It had gone up. You could have gotten the Cardinals to win this game at plus 525. And again, I wasn't smart enough to do that. I just said, I'm going to keep my mojo away from this game this week. I'm not going to bet on it one way or the other. Kudos to you if you took the money line. Jeremy, $2 super chat. Johnny called it up by half. Yep, we got to that one. Jalen Blair, $5. Woof, gone. Real good, not being 32 in the power rankings this week. How about the people that said the Cardinals were going to go 0-17? Like, I had a moment this week following last week where I'm like, could that really happen? No, that can't really happen. But
No shot.
I mean, like, people have to reevaluate, especially when Kyler Murray comes back, how they view this team this year.
Yeah, do you realize how explosive this offense looked today?
Yeah.
And Kyler Murray's not even at the helm right now.
That's right.
There's so much more that this team can do and can be so much more explosive as long as everything stays in place. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of excited to watch Cardinal football right now.
I know. It's an exciting time. A lot of people thought, let's turn the TV off. Chicago Bears-esque maybe, losing, big at half. No. The Cardinals have controlled every game up until the fourth quarter, and they finished the job today. Now, we'll talk about San Francisco when it's time to talk about San Francisco next week, but not today. Today, we're taking your super chats. Little Dreezy, $13.99. Man, let's fucking go. Hollywood, wide receiver 1. I tweeted out, kind of tongue-in-cheek, like, extend him tomorrow, give Hollywood a new contract. I will say this, Hollywood Brown, even without Kyler Murray, has made the most of his targets. He's out there and is playing bigger than himself. That touchdown catch in an area where you and I were talking about it, had they not gotten that, it's 4th and 2. Like, do they kick there? What do they do? It was the play of the game. He had 2 plays. How about the play out of the end zone to catch that big gainer? Talk to me about what you saw from Hollywood Brown today.
I think it speaks to the growth for Hollywood Brown, and the maturity that he's starting to grab now. And it's not so much about just Hollywood Brown as it is, I want to win.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on a team where we come out here and I have, 150 yards and we get smoked. I think he's embracing the wide receiver 1 now, and he's learning how to become a wide receiver 1. He's doing it well. And today he went out there, and like we said every week, he made the plays that came to him and the plays that he wasn't supposed to. I mean, that big game out of the end zone, that changed everything.
Absolutely.
I mean, we still punted, but now we're punting from the 25 to 30, considering our punters' heels are on the goal line. Or the inline.
That's right. Mr. Grimm, Damon Dog brought this up as we were like a quarter of the game in. $10 super chat. Is this what good coaching can do for a team? And Damon, you mentioned this to me like candidly off air, like, hey man, say what you want about the Cardinals. Like, they look buttoned up every time they play.
Yeah.
Every first half, they come out there and they come out firing 100%. The game plans are always good.
Yeah.
3 weeks, and the game plans have been great every week.
It's something to behold. And again, I don't keep meaning to go to like the Cliff Kingsbury well, but these games last year were unwatchable in the first half, if not for 4 quarters. And now you get a team like the Cardinals look so much more buttoned up, better coach this year under Jonathan Gannon. I mean, like, we're scouting players Saturday night, college football, Joe Alt, Marvin Harrison Jr. It's like, hey guys, we're actually winning games now in the 2023 season when everybody thought we were going to be terrible.
Yeah. And credit to that coaching staff. 100% credit.
That's right.
Because they could have just tucked their tails after those first 2 weeks and just said, guys, we got to just try to stay in games and try to make it competitive. And, they X that. They said, look, we can go in here and we can beat anybody who walks into our house. And they proved it today.
Well, and again, like, I think reestablishing that home field advantage is pivotal. And I don't want to go out on a limb here, but I think today was a big step in that direction. I think people in the Valley are going to see this victory and more importantly, see how this team plays before Kyler Murray even comes back. And the fact that you can be excited about Michael Wilson and Paris Johnson Jr. and these young players, Zaven Collins hopefully is okay. And you can say, I want to go watch Cardinal football this weekend. I want to be invested in this team, not, you know what, I don't really want to spend the money. I'd rather just watch it on TV. That environment today, hopefully, is the start of something special. You guys are keeping it special here with your super chats. Dylan Richards, friend of the program, $4.99. Coaching, elevating talent, defense, balling out, game management, winning home. So pumped for Johnny and BG that does so much for the locker room. Absolutely. I mean, we're fired up about it. This is, the culmination really, and it's just the start, BG. It's the culmination of like, this is why you hire Monty Austinford and Jonathan Gannon, and you trade for Josh Dobbs, and you draft Paris Johnson Jr. and Michael Wilson. Like, everything has been building to this point. And of course, they're going to have to build on it and continue to get better. But like, now definitively your investment in this regime has been rewarded if you're Michael Bidwell.
Yeah, it's paying off. And if you're Michael Bidwell, you're sitting up there thinking, what took me so long? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you've got people in place. You have got the right people in place at the GM spot, at the head coaching spot, at your coordinator positions, and it's showing. Everything is showing up. They're producing, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are keeping it fun here. Brian Ward, $5. Great game by the Cardinals. We've definitely been outperforming, but yet $5 says Power Rankings still have us ranked 30 or less. Just light those on fire. They mean nothing.
Yeah, it's just people that never really played the game anyway, so it's okay.
That's right. People on their keyboards. And I saw something this week. More people are watching sports coverage on YouTube as opposed to regular television because of this interactivity. You guys are part of the conversation. You guys know better than that. Like the Denver Broncos gave up 70 points with Vance Joseph. There were people in this media market and outside saying, give Vance Joseph an opportunity to be the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. How is that? If that were to happen, it'd be an unmitigated disaster. The Cardinals, and again, Michael Bidwell has plenty of things he can improve upon. He's got flaws. Where I will give him immense credit is he had people in his ear saying, just promote Quentin Harris, Adrian Wilson, keep status quo, get an easy layup for a head coach. He said, nope, I'm going to go out. I'm going to get some external people that know what the fuck they're doing so we can get this turned around. Monty Ossenford, JG come in here, and it's the start. I believe it's the start of something special. M1A Tanker in the chat, $5 super chat. A true Cardinal fan doesn't care if they lose every game as long as they beat the Cowboys. Absolutely. I mean, old NFC East rivals, and now BG, they've got an opportunity to talk their shit for the foreseeable future.
And that is, I mean, you just offensively for the Cardinals, you went out there and you basically dominated the #1 defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
You established the line of scrimmage every play. You ran the ball down their throats. And when the time came to get man coverage, you threw the ball and you made plays. And you beat the #1 defense.
Absolutely. It's like our guy, Wrenches and Rats, halftime super chat, $1.99 from earlier. Run it down their throats. And boy, oh boy, they did. I put out a tweet, BG, late in the game. I'm like, you know what? After they gave up that field goal, the offense just can't sit and hide, right? They have to be able to make a play. And they ran the football, yes, but it was that big play by Michael Wilson breaking out in the middle of nowhere. We were screaming at the TV here at the studio. It's like, can he get in? Can he get in? And eventually Hollywood caught the touchdown. But kudos to the offense. They were trying to hang on for dear life for the third consecutive week. And they said, you know what? We're going to punch a touchdown in to seal the game.
Oh, yeah. And they did it. And it was a big way with the Hollywood touchdown. I think what was third down?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get that. And like we discussed earlier, do you kick the field goal? Do you go for it? And we both agreed. I think you have to kick the field goal just to keep it a 2-possession game. But I mean, for them to get out there, get outside of the pocket and find Hollywood at the very end and get a touchdown out of that sealed the game.
I mean, this team, Keitrell Clark's covering their #1 and 2 receiver. I mean,
he's covering an all-pro receiver, and he did a hell of a job.
It's unbelievable. That the confidence level for this team. You're playing these teams that people are anointing as Super Bowl contenders, and you're winning or you're hanging for 4 quarters. And the talent level is, let's just call it sparse right now for our Redbirds. I mean, it's unbelievable. Let's get to some of these super chats. You guys keeping it unbelievable. Benjamin, $5. Notice how the opposing defenses had to huddle on the sideline to rally themselves because our offense smacked them in the face the past 2 games. I did notice that, Benjamin. And I mean, 150 yards last week, 222 yards rushing. When we talked to Jonathan Gannon, Bo and I ran him down at the combine. We talked to him for about 20 minutes, and he said, this is going to be a combination of Cleveland and San Francisco's run game. And, you can say that, and that's great. We believe that's what they wanted to do, but I've seen, and Bruce Arians was guilty of this, no risk it, no biscuit. Let's just throw. Let's throw 40 times a game. This is the first time that I can remember in my lifetime where a unit, they've committed to doing one thing exceptionally well, and that's running the football. I mean, to have almost 200 yards rushing against the Cowboys in the first half, I mean, speaks to the identity this team wants to have.
No, and it is. And we talked about it off air. We talked about it before, and the earlier one. Running the football opens up everything.
Yeah.
If it gets to the point, there's a lot of coaches where you go out there, you have no success early running the football. They are done. They get away from the run game, and then it's just trying to air it out the whole time, which can get you into trouble. But at the same time, what we're doing right now on the ground, like you said, 180 yards rushing in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, you're taking so much time off the clock, plus you're keeping it out of the opposing quarterback's hand.
I mean, the Cardinals historically have had to fight and claw for like 80 to 100 yards rushing in a game.
Oh, we did. There was during my time, there was a lot of times where we were ending the game with an 80 yards rushing for the total. Now we had 375 yards passing.
But what it does, though, BG, is it allows you to have some deficiencies or just some mistakes made with an offense that's led by Joshua Dobbs, who is himself limited.
Yeah.
But you're not asking him to say, well, you're going to throw 45 times a game. Just manage the offense. What do you think of Dobbs in particular today?
I think the same way I thought him last week. He handled himself professionally. He handled himself well when he got in. He was calm in the pocket. He didn't spaz. He didn't panic. When nothing was there, he went to his next read, or he scrambled and got up out of there. I mean, the big 40-plus yard run he had.
Yeah.
I mean, he broke a tackle. He should have been tackled after about 10 yards, 12 yards, and he ends up getting about 30 more. So I think he's, from week 1 to week 3 to where we're at now with Josh Dobbs, is a completely different person. And also kudos to Petzing for going in there and saying, this is the playbook. We're going to draw from this entire playbook, not a select few, because we're trying to manage the game. We're going to try to go out here and win games.
Do we have some photos, Damon Dog? I saw you pull these up here. These are taken from our own Danielle here at PHNX. Does a fabulous job from the sideline. How about this? Monty Ossenford showing love with his QB1 right now in Joshua Dobbs. Fired up. Ossenford traded for Dobbs just, a month ago? He's leading them to a victory against the Cowboys. There's DJ Humphries giving a big sweaty hug to Ossenford. Ossenford was sidelined for Caleb Williams against ASU last night, and everybody's running with, the conclusions that come with that. It's like, how about this? How about we'll just win on Sunday and put that to bed as our guy. I think Saul Bookman, the GM, put a super chat in here earlier. If we can find it, Damon Dog. I love this one. $4.99 from the GM himself, a very giving man. Hey, hope Caleb Williams enjoys Chicago. Hope Sean Payton realizes he is nothing in Denver, and I hope Vance Joseph enjoys those long walks. Might have a long one real soon. Maybe a long
might
one.
have a long one tonight.
Yes, to the unemployment line, maybe. Thank you so much, GM Saul Bookman. And again, it's tongue-in-cheek. We like Vance Joseph as a person. He has no business being a head coach, for one, and he was terrible as the DC in Arizona. So it was laughable when people said, no, it's the Cardinals culture. It's the Cardinals' fault. He'll go and be great with Sean Payton. I mean, that looks like the opposite of what Arizona has going on. And we've talked about it, BG. Cardinals were the last team to hire a coach when they hired Bruce Arians. The Chicago Bears passed on Bruce Arians. Cardinals this year, last team to hire Jonathan Gannon. And, I got caught up in it. Our co-host, Bo Brack, we wanted Sean Payton, rightfully so. And now Sean Payton and Vance Joseph, that looks like one of the worst pairings in the NFL.
It looks,
70 points.
A 70 bomb.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even nice. They put 70 up like it was easy. And with a backup quarterback.
Yeah. Oh, man. Fishbowl Flash, $5. First JG win is over the Cowgirls. Well worth it. Can't wait to get K1 on the field. If you're Kyler Murray, thank you so much, Fishbowl Flash. I mean, you see this product and just like, damn. And he wants to be able to come back and help this team. I couldn't get back on the field fast enough if I'm Kyler Murray. The protection today, Micah Parsons only got home once. The offensive line, the run game, the skill players, Rondell Moore, Michael Wilson, Hollywood Brown, his buddy. I mean, it's impressive. It's just like a finely tuned machine waiting for K1.
Oh, and it is. And the thing about it is when K1 comes back, you almost have to start walking more people in that box for the run game.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be so many more quarterback keepers and stuff like that there's an extra runner that you have to account for. So, and I'm looking forward to it. I feel like it's going to be a ridiculously explosive offense when K1 gets back.
And you're going to ask K1 to do what K1 does, but just to play within the confines of the offense where you're like, hey, Kyler, you don't have to save us anymore. You don't have to play backyard football and out-athlete everybody with, DeAndre Hopkins and A.J. Green. It's like, no. Just come in here. You can run the football. We can get play action. We can win one-on-one. I mean, I'm sure if I'm Kyler Murray or I'm Carl Williams, frankly, watching this offense now, I'd be licking my chops. They've got what I think in Paris Johnson Jr. is a blue chip right tackle for years to come. And if I'm a young quarterback, I would love to play in this offense right now.
Oh, for sure. Paris Johnson's come in here as a rookie and just established himself. I mean, the three games we've seen so far, he's been graded high. He's done well. We're not getting sacked.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part. We got a backup quarterback in there, and we are not getting sacked.
Let me see if I can pull the total here. I know they had the one Micah Parsons one. They had two.
But we'll take one or two compared to six.
I think DeMarcus Lawrence got him on. It was an RPO kind of deal on 3rd and short, so it wasn't, a huge sack. I think the Cardinals ended up getting a field goal attempt. That might have been the possession where they got the offsides on Dallas. So, again, they didn't feel the weight of the Dallas defensive line.
Well, because they held him at bay, and that's, like we said earlier, that's a credit to that offensive line. Credit to the offensive line, credit to the running backs in the pass game and the tight ends chipping. And we talked about it earlier. They were going to have to do something to stop and to at least slow down Micah Parsons. And I think with the running backs and the tight ends helping down there and allowing these offensive linemen, the tackles, to get their feet set and to get to their position by the time that Micah showed up.
Yeah.
That helps. It does everything. It's all you can ask for.
I'm going to ask for something from Sean Marks here. Sean Marks, $1.99. Money line bet on the Cardinals. I'm a happy man. You need to let me know what you put on the money line, because so we can celebrate with you, because that's fantastic. I hope you got it, Sean, at plus
that's
5.
That was a bold move.
That's
that.
A true Cardinal fan, betting the Cardinals at plus 525. Sean's a great friend of the program. $4.99. Thank you so much, Bior. Asked about Cameron Thomas earlier in this week, and he delivered on the last drive. Also, shout out VJ today. Cam Thomas, he went through it today. He had some possessions. He didn't look very good. Looked a little stiff. The last possession, though, finally got after him. I think he's probably had the toughest transition into this Gannon defense than anybody. There's so many guys that they've made it look seamless, from Jonathan Ledbetter and your boy Dennis Gardeck. It's like, we got to remember, I have to remember, like, Cam Thomas has been in the NFL. He hasn't even started a full season worth of games. Like, he'll get there. But 97, up and down today.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, that last drive, he had 2 huge tackles.
Yeah,
inside the 5-yard line it put the Cowboys in a situation where they had to kick that field goal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he showed up. Yeah, he had a couple struggles. He missed a couple tackles early, but he showed up when it counted, and that's what you want to see.
I want to see everybody here on the BetMGM app with our guy Sean. I was on the BetMGM app dabbling today. So we put some bets for the folks on the program, the pregame show. I had the Josh Dobbs over in passing yards. That hit. I had the Dak Prescott 12.5 rushing yards. That hit. I didn't have the under.
You took the under.
I did. That's okay, though. Like, I'll trade. I'll do a 2 for 3, 60%, like a professional bettor, for an Arizona Cardinal win. The under, I mean, come on. The under, I thought, was safe. Dallas's defense was fraudulent. Don't be a fraud, though. Go to BetMGM. Use the bonus code PHNX. Be like our guy Sean. Everybody else in the chat that's winning and winning big with BetMGM. $10 is going to get you $200 in bonus bets instantly. Again, if you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? It's our friends at BetMGM Sportsbook. We're going to be there next Sunday at the BetMGM Sportsbook at the Great Lawn at State Farm Stadium. $200 instantly. Additional winnings of your wager outcome. Plus, check out the show notes for full details. Now listen to our guy Shane Diefenbach talk about it in the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
Going to hop back into your super chats here in a second, but first I want to tell everybody about our friends at Circle K, your premier gas stop. Cardinals, your premier team. PHNX Cardinals, your premier podcast. How about premier gas, not a premium price? Circle K, save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. Pizza, coffee, ice fountain drinks. I'm celebrating this win with some tasty snacks from our friends at Circle K. Join the inner circle today for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details. Again, like we're driving out to the stadium next weekend. Gas is at an all-time high, but I do feel like Circle K, unbiased opinion, cheapest gas, plus you save 25 cents. Let's get back, BG, into these super chats. Alex in the chat, $4.99. Media going to be all about how bad the Dallas Cowboys were and how good the Cardinals were. I mean, there's probably some truth to that.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, like, the team doesn't care about that.
No, I mean, you have to look. The media always has to find. You got to have a narrative to push, right? And it looks like David and Goliath is all it was, and David beat Goliath today.
That's right.
They beat the Cowboys, so now all it's going to be is the Cowboys' downfall and what they did to lose the game. Instead, the narrative should just be how well the Cardinals played offensively and defensively and came around and beat a Power 5 team.
Like, usually I wouldn't care about the national media's opinion. I only care about the opinion on the people on this network. But what I will say is this. Like, you'd be an ass to ignore the Cardinals' efforts for 3 weeks. Like Kingsbury's teams, you get a good performance and they go to Detroit and get blown out, or they lose to Carson Wentz on Christmas. Like, the effort has been consistent by the Cardinals every single week. Competitive, playing over their heads, right? Like, that to me is the story of the Cardinals in 2023. The coaching and the effort by the players without their franchise quarterback, without their star safety in Budda Baker. That should be the narrative around this team. And I will take offense this week if people dismiss this win. Thankfully, on Twitter, I did see like some prominent national media members saying like, yeah, the Cardinals are just well coached under Jonathan Gannon. I don't care about the press conference highlights, whatever you want to say about him. He's a good NFL coach already, and I think has an opportunity as they build the infrastructure of this team, BG, to take the next step that, frankly, Cliff Kingsbury could never take.
Agreed. And that's just for JG and company, it's just finishing games right now. Because like you said,
yeah,
they are competitive every Sunday.
Yeah.
They come out here on the football field and it's not this team is good and this team is not good.
Yeah.
And we know it's not what we just we witnessed with the Bears today and with the Broncos. You know, you're not playing. I mean, if that was a team, if we were the Bears and everybody thought we were as bad as what they thought before the season started, we would have got 70 hung on our heads today, but we didn't.
That's right. A team that truly is tanking. I mean, and I don't think the Broncos and the Bears are tanking. They like the Vegas over-under for the Chicago Bears this year was 8.5. Like, think about that for a second. The Bears look like they will not win a game this year.
Fields was, and we talked about earlier with Dame, Fields was an MVP candidate.
Yeah, those are.
My man had 38 yards passed.
He was like a top 5 guy in odds.
Oh my God. Take your Justin Fields MVP ballots and shove them up your ass with your Trey Lance MVP ballots from 2022. That's where those belong, by the way. Let's stop anointing people and let's stop shitting on people like JG and company before they've even played a snap. I mean, the biggest hyperbole this summer, and the narrative was the Cardinals, JG's a lame duck coach. He's going to be fired after 1 year. It's like, I'm going to tell you right now, if you had to redraft these coaches in free agency, the guys that were hired, the two coordinators, Shane Steichen, who, give him credit, won again today for the Colts, and Jonathan Gannon, they have been easily the most competitive. And it's just like, yeah, Nick Sirianni doesn't specialize in either side of the ball. So he had two elite coordinators that helped get him to a Super Bowl last year.
And that's where it is. And that's what it takes. And we've talked about it here. A good coaching staff and having guys that you can trust, that you know, and that are here to win.
Yeah.
They're here to just get a job done. And it's more than just showing up.
Yeah.
We're going to come out here and dominate. And it's great to see.
Let's get back to some of these super chats. Jeremy Bailey, Saul's chat was just worth another super chat, $2. Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate you. Sports Hero, friend of the program, $5. Told you guys the Cardinals would win. He did say that, or she said that this last Friday. Actually think if Dobbs continues to improve, they may trade Kyler and keep Dobbs for the season. I think Dobbs has solidified himself as somebody they will want on this roster as long as they can keep him. But here's what I will say. Everybody was quick to dismiss Josh Dobbs. Like, Josh Dobbs looks like somebody's bridge quarterback next year. And if Kyler Murray's your quarterback next year and Dobbs is on a 1-year deal, like, he might price himself out. And good for Josh Dobbs if that happens. But, like, right now, Josh Dobbs looks like a guy that can, like Gardner Minshew, win you games in the NFL.
Well, and that's what you want, right? And every general manager and head coach wants a very solid backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Because if, in bad situations with like what we went through with Kyler, with him getting hurt and blowing a knee, having somebody that can come in like Josh Dobbs, especially the last 2 weeks that he's shown us offensively, that's everything, because there's lots of teams that are the Jets right now that had to go back to their backup quarterback, and it is a struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's continue to go through these super chats. Hit that like button on this video. Throw us a comment. We absolutely love to hear your thoughts after today's big upset. Alex, $1.99 O-line played. Great, only 1 sack. I think it was 2, but again, it was an RPO mix-up. But you're right, Alex. This is the best offensive line this team has had, top to bottom. Offensive line play, maybe not like the collection of players, but the cohesiveness. And I saw
the consistency.
I mean, the run game, they've run for, I think they're averaging about 150 yards on the ground through 3 weeks, which is just,
and it's got to be at least 5 yards a carry.
Yeah,
no less.
Today they had what looks like 7.4 yards per carry, 222 yards on the ground. I mean, you can say what you want about the Commanders game. Like, I'll give you that as a true loss. They blew it in the fourth quarter. The offense wasn't doing anything. They should be 2-1 right now, minimum. They should have beaten Daniel Jones last week. It was a situation where I think it was hard for a young team like this to be up 20-0 at half. Like, I will give them all the grace, the players. Now the coaches, they could have made some changes, but it's hard to be competitive. And I think it helped them today, BG. having blown the lead the last 2 weeks and especially last week to say, okay, we can't get comfortable because this is Dallas. They're more talented than the Giants. And isn't it funny? Like the Cowboys beat the Giants, what, 40-0? The Giants beat the Cardinals beat the Cowboys.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we talked about at the beginning, the pregame show today. Like anybody can be beat in this league.
That's right.
It doesn't matter who you are, how highly ranked in PFF or whoever makes those stupid grades on the internet.
That we love to reference.
A bunch of bullshit. But, anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah.
And we saw it today. The Cardinals came out with a game plan. They executed that game plan. They went in at halftime. They made the adjustments and finished, finally.
Antonio in the chat, James Conner won that game. Well, we picked Kazir White as our player of the game, but there could have been about 3 or 4 guys, and that's where we're going to go to counting cards. How'd the Cardinals do today outside of the player of the game? I don't know. James Conner had 98 of the 122 yards rushing. James Conner, 7 yards per pop today. I mean, this guy, number 6, I think he's got a Pro Bowl berth written all over him. Should he be able to stay healthy? And then a guy, BG, we just talked about. Josh Dobbs had 120 quarterback rating, but it's more than that, right? 17 of 21, 189 yards passing, a touchdown. On the ground, 6 for 55. I mean, what can you say about the quarterback right now? It's unbelievable.
He's doing everything. I mean, by himself, he contributed almost 300 yards of offense, right? To a guy that everybody in this thing was downing and saying, oh, this is trash. He's terrible. I don't know why we traded for him after week 1.
Yep.
You see him in week 2 make a ridiculous improvement, and he carries it over in week 3 and does the exact same thing.
Absolutely. Dobbs has been everything and more that you could have hoped for. And as is this kid, Michael Wilson, the 3rd rounder out of Stanford. It's a coin flip, right? You could put Hollywood Brown here, who had a big day, had the go-ahead or the winning touchdown, 5 for 61. I mean, Rondell Moore had a great day, 3 carries, 54 yards. I'm going to go Michael Wilson for counting cards this week, BG. 2 catches, but a critical 69-yarder of his 86 yards to put the Cardinals in a position to put this game away. And this is the 2nd consecutive week Michael Wilson is the leading receiver for this team. I won't be surprised if he's the leading receiver on the season by the end of the year. I mean, the big man out of Stanford just does everything well. I mean, we saw him run block earlier.
Oh, yeah.
He looked fantastic out there, a physical player. I mean, right now, this receiving core led by Michael Wilson and Hollywood Brown, I mean, like a lot of people thought they were waving the white flag after they traded or cut DeAndre Hopkins.
Essentially, yeah.
And now they're giving young players an opportunity to perform, and they're living up and surpassing those expectations.
They're doing what you want, and it's really good to see Michael Wilson finally starting to blossom, right? I know it's early, but the kid's got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
And he can play this game at a high level, and we got to see it today. I mean, it was that big catch right there was Johnny was running around the room all day screaming.
I was fairly excited when that happened, yeah.
Hyped up.
I was getting all of 3 inches off the ground with my new shoes. Michael Wilson, to me, like, I think is quietly going to have like an 800-yard season that like very little people talk about, but he's that. I mean, I can't imagine how much Kyler Murray is going to target Michael Wilson when he comes back. I think about the year where A.J. Green went off for this team in part because of his size and what he could do downfield. Like that to me is like the perfect kind of baton passing to Michael Wilson. Kyler Murray, undersized, obviously, is going to need a big body target, and this kid has really solidified himself. We have tried so long. Outside of Christian Kirk, who had a nice career, Rondell Moore, back and forth, right? Andy Isabella, Hakeem Butler, Michael Floyd once upon a time. I do think that I'm ready to go on a limb and say Michael Wilson has a chance to stick for a second contract more so than a lot of these guys that they've drafted high.
Oh, yeah. And I agree. You know, the Michael Floyd situation was
more than football.
It was outside of football. But
yeah.
I think if Michael Wilson can keep this going, like, just show up, be consistent, and do what you're doing right now. Like you said, an 800-yard season is very attainable for him. And all that's going to do is just give Cardinals fans confidence, going to give that quarterback confidence. And like you said, I think he could be one of those, you know, first ones since Larry Fitzgerald who's had multiple contracts to stay at home.
I mean, looking at the receiving core today, it's like, would you obviously like a Marvin Harrison Jr.? Yes. Do I think they'll draft him if given the opportunity? Yes. But I think like they've got to win today. We'll talk about it. Houston unfortunately won today. Like you and I chatted about this with Damon before the show. The more wins they get, like this shit takes care of itself. Yeah. Like if they can't pick Marvin Harrison Jr., it's going to be because they win too many games and Rondell Moore looks good and Michael Wilson looks good and maybe you bring back Hollywood Brown and the tight end. So, I mean, like, you're bad and you're really bad. You earn a Caleb Williams or a Marvin. But if you overachieve, like this team is doing, like there are good players to be had at the bottom half of the top 10, dare I say outside the top 10. So, I mean, like, we're going to hype up these players because they're elite at the college level. But, I mean, these guys, they're playing in the NFL right now. Like Michael Wilson, he's a big boy NFL player. And it's time people start to recognize that.
Agreed. You're not at Stanford no more. You're in the big boys.
That's right.
And you're producing.
I mean, he's going to be one of the few, I think, like a DK Metcalf, to be a better NFL player than he was a college player.
I can see that. I agree. I think he could be a really good NFL football player.
We'll get back to these super chats as we wait Bo Brock from State Farm Stadium. B's $2. Turn my city up, BG. Where the boys at? Not here.
Yeah, no more turning up. BG can't handle that stuff no more.
Come on, man. I follow this man on Instagram. He's always in the lab. He's always getting better. He looks like he could play right now.
I'd tear a muscle in my hamstring.
Matthew, $1.99 super chat. Need an RB2. Here's what I will say. Like Keontae Ingram, I think probably just is worth a roster spot, but I don't like him getting featured behind James Conner. Same with Dermacado. They need some juice. I think though, BG, they're in a position where they're probably just going to wait until next year to add that.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Probably waiting because, I mean, you saw it with the Cowboys today, actually, when you see a 2 running back tandem that helps out because you didn't really miss a beat between Pollard and the backup for Dallas. He came in and ran the ball really well too. And I think that's what a lot of fans here in Arizona are wanting. You want somebody that when Connor has to go out, that can do the exact same thing Connor can do. Now, don't get me wrong. Ingram does get put in a lot of bad situations. I feel like some of the run plays that get called when Ingram comes into the game, he's getting hit as soon as he's getting the ball in his hand. So a lot of it's not on him. But, you know, I understand where they're coming from when you want a solid number 2. And you need a solid number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like, I think you just run James Conner ragged this year. And if it's his last year, given his age and his money, like, you send him out with a bang, 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns, and solidify him as just an all-time signing for this team. That he's going to help you. Whereas, like, you know, the situation with guys like Matt Prater, Bears watching, like, he's a fantastic kicker. Matt Prater, I don't even have him in the rundown. Like, his kicks today, that's part of the reason they won.
62 yards.
Was he wasn't with you, was he? You could have used him, though.
Yeah, we had some kicker wills a little bit.
You did, yeah. Special teams was the only thing that stopped BG's Cardinals. Unfortunately, let's get back to some of these super chats here. Marcus, did someone say for the show $2? I'm not sure what he means there, Damon Dog. Did someone say for the show? We did the player of the game for the show, Marcus Kazir White. Let's get to Chris. If you want to specify, Marcus, we'll pull you up a regular comment here. $2. We are the Cowboys as the Panthers are to us, 7-1. I think that's a great point. Carolina beats the Cardinals' ass every time they play, dating back to, goodness, like the early 2000s, outside of the one, which is the one that's most important en route to the Super Bowl. Z Professor, $10. I don't know who I need to give this idea to for a shirt, but for the PHNX locker, but we need a shirt of Big Red drinking a huge glass of Kool-Aid and spilling it all over himself. That's certainly an idea. You can give it to me. I can pass that along up to the higher ups. Absolutely. I'm all for a new shirt. We deserve a new shirt after this game today. We also deserve a fine word from our dear, dear friend, Bo Brock, live from State Farm Stadium, joining us here. Connection, a little iffy. We're waiting for Bo. He's at the press box.
There's too much going on after that win.
I think they're partying in the press box here now. They're too professional for that. We keep the partying here for PHNX. Let's get back as we wait Bo to another super chat. Momo Murray, love that name, $1.99. Thank you so much. Felt good to send the Cowboys fans home sad. I think outside of Gannon winning today, that is the most important thing, is to tell all those Cowboy fans, fuck off. Go away. We don't want you here.
Go back to Dallas.
Look at all the Cowboy fans heading to the exit.
Heads tucked. Look, heads are tucked.
Great pick by Danielle and our guy Damon Dog here pulling it up on the postgame. Fantastic. Yep. Next time you wanna come to Arizona, you vacation here. All right? Take a vacay. Don't come here expecting to get a dub. It's not gonna happen.
Bye forever.
Bye forever. Goodbye. Leave.
Thank you.
Nice team. Nice team that lost to Josh Dobbs and company at 13-point favorite. This game, the Cardinals beat you by almost 13 points. It's called the reverse jinx right there. Love to see that. Little Dreezy 13, $1.99. I remember Johnny didn't like the Michael Wilson pick. I did not like it. I didn't like a hurt player in the collegiate level coming to the NFL. And I'm like, what hurt in college, hurt in the pros? That's insane. But the more we dug in on this young man, they were fluke injuries, like not soft tissue, like collarbone, like major breaks that were flukish. He had 6 years of work at Stanford, but he dominated the Senior Bowl. And like, knock on wood, we got a long way to go before the end of the season, BG. It's like, I just think he's better built for the NFL right now.
Oh, and I would agree with you right there. Some of the guys you see in college, they have success, but it's, he was good, but was he this? But they get to the NFL and they're really good football players. And it's not necessarily just a receiver. It's all over. So, I mean, I think giving him a chance, allowing him to get more comfortable in this offense and in the league itself, I think he's going to be a really good player.
I think the yards are coming now. The touchdowns with Michael Wilson with respect to Josh Dobbs happens when K1 comes back. Here's a touchdown for this show. How about Bo Brack live from State Farm Stadium, the press box? There he is, all smiles today. We finally get a dub after leading at the half, Bo Brack. What was the mood, the environment there from Jonathan Gannon and company?
Fired up, electric. You could hear them hooting and hollering in the locker room, and then they were just bumping music to celebrate, as they should. BG, you've been on the solid end of these many times during the BA era, and it's a fun time when you win a football game, especially when you beat. How about them Cowboys? Always great to send them home with an L. I love that we're already showing Danielle's pick of the Cowboys fans leaving early. It's a great look. Love to see it. Jonathan Gannon, he was pretty subdued in the post game, though. I mean, he seemed like this is business as usual, and you kind of like that, right? You kind of like that the head coach is like, hey, if we follow through on the process, the results are going to come. And he's excited for his players. He's excited for his staff, but he seemed pretty even keel and like, hey, yeah, we expect to play like this, and they did.
Do you think that given what's happened each of these first 3 weeks, Bo Brack, how competitive this team has been, that they're going to get the respect now they deserve? We're here laughing at our friends at DMVR and the Denver Broncos giving up 70 points with Vance Joseph. We're laughing at the laugh right in Chicago with the Bears, who are incredibly incompetent. I'm guessing Carolina also lost. Like, is this the pivot point of the year, albeit in week 3, where people are like, all right, we're putting the Cardinals over here. They're not the worst team. They're not tanking. They're not in for Caleb Williams. Like, they're a really competitive team that could be sneaky good when K1 comes back. Have we reached that point yet, or is it premature?
I wish I could say that we have, but the national media is a bit aloof when it comes to Arizona. That's just unfortunate truth right there, especially with how they saw the offseason and how they conception of the Arizona Cardinals and what their approach was this offseason. It wasn't egregious tanking. It was, rebuilding a roster. It was putting Jonathan Gannon and his staff in year one in a position for success, but beyond that, with their eye more towards the future. But to see how well this team has played and how competitive they've been through 3 weeks, I don't think you can discount that any longer. As much as they're not paying attention, and now that this is like 3 games in a row, that it's been like, hey, this is not just a pushover. Like, the biggest misconception about the Arizona Cardinals is that you show up on Sunday and you win a football game. They've led now, as you pointed out in your tweet earlier, Johnny, each of the 3 last ball games going into the fourth quarter, and now you've got Drew Petzing, you've got Nick Rollis, you've got Jeff Rogers, the special teams coach, all 3 phases making adjustments and making sure that their phase isn't going to be the one that's going to cost them the game. They came away with the dub today, and it was a big one, and they can only build more off of it. And it's fantastic for Arizona Cardinals fans. The first win on Sunday since 2021. We had at home since 2021. October 5th.
Oh, my God.
October 5th. Like, they won on Thursday night. They won on Thursday night last year, but they didn't win on Sunday. It's unbelievable that this poor Red Sea had to endure so much losing in between. They finally got one.
Oh, man. We talked about Michael Wilson and his ascension. He led the team again in receiving yards. Bo, how did he get so wide open on that broken play that happened at the end of the game? Because we're freaking out because Dallas gets the ball back and it's a different kind of game. And that was the solidification of the Cardinals' adjustments, in my opinion, with Petzing. But Michael Wilson wide open. Was it just a breakdown in coverage by Dallas? What can you tell us?
Yeah, so Joshua Dobbs, I don't know if this is kind of the gamesmanship and maybe he wanted to kind of keep that ace up his sleeve on how he was able to just be wide open, not a Dallas defender 20 yards around him. He wouldn't kind of tell us what went into that. He just basically said Michael Wilson ran a good route. But BG, like you could be the best route runner in the world and you still got a guy a couple of yards within. It was a play design. It felt like it was a play design, and maybe it was just a mess up on Dallas's behalf as well. But regardless, that started to get things trending in the right direction for Drew Petzing in this offense. If it goes wrong, if it goes poorly, if they're not able to connect on that, I think people are a little upset on a first down play after how the previous two possessions had gone and they weren't able to kind of run clock or get points. But that was, they took their chance and they hit on it. And now, they're able to get down there and score the touchdown. It was a huge just changing of the momentum in the second half that seemed to be going all Dallas's way early on. Nice job for Drew Petzing to get back in his bag and pull that one out and get the offense rolling again like they were in the first half. First half, Joshua Dobbs has become borderline elite, Johnny. When you look at it, like they scored in every possession in the first half today. And then last week, outside of the opening series where Matt Prater missed the field goal, they should have scored on every possession then. So, I think they're 10 for the last 10 as far as Joshua Dobbs in the first half putting this offense in position for points. That's pretty unbelievable.
Do we have Colt McCoy Damon's first half stats today for through 3 weeks? Do we? No, those aren't available
because unfortunately I forgot to do that.
Gotcha. He's out of football. Okay, we're just being told Colt McCoy is not playing pro football this year. I might have to dig up some old tweets about those who were proclaiming that, I don't know, Josh Dobbs would have been a worse alternative to Colt McCoy in week 1. I'm not going to do that. But again, there were people that were saying Josh Dobbs is a downgrade from Colt McCoy. But Dobbs in general, BG, I think the coaching is the headline of the season. He is the sub bullet to come in for this team and to play really 2 out of the 3 winning football games for a guy who had no offseason in camp for you. How hard is that for a quarterback to be the guy and to come in and do that?
That's hard for any position player. You could be a running back, a receiver, defensive back, whatever you want to call it. It's a tall task to not be here for the offseason, to not be here for camp. You show up a week before the season starts and it's, hey, you're the starting quarterback. So, for what he's doing at quarterback, put his stats on the board. We got predicted, all pro and MVP quarterbacks right now that are playing for other teams that are throwing for 45 yards in an entire game and losing by 40 points. And now everybody was trying to write off, in week 1 because we didn't have a great game at quarterback. We didn't have a bad game at quarterback against the Commanders. It was just a very conservative play calling sheet and just trying to get through that game. But the last 2 weeks, we've seen that playbook open. We've seen Petzing start to trust Dobbs more. We've seen Dobbs start to trust Petzing more. And it's paying off.
Well, and Bo, if you think about Drew Petzing was public enemy number 1 after week 1 against Washington. Who the hell is this offense? 28 points each of the last 2 weeks against quality opponents that made the postseason last year. And then this running game that's a freight train from hell that has literally come overnight. 222 yards, 180 in the first half. What do you attribute this to?
And it's a collective effort, right? It's 40 from Joshua Dobbs on the opening drive, the second play of their offensive series. He's just running down the sideline, trying to avoid tacklers, but pretty much a wide open rush lane for him. And then you've got Rondell Moore. He's got a big, was it a 45-yard rush between the tackles?
Yeah.
Rondell Moore, unbelievable. And then, there's the play from Daniel Cortez. Great shot here. And then, of course, you've got James Conner, who was so effective. I know that you were upset he only had 7 carries, but it was for 70 yards in the first half. And then, they were able to lean on him and get into deflate, taking the air out of the football and churning some clock. And it was a collective effort, and they're finding unique ways with not, I know that James Conner's like your bell cow, no doubt about it, but finding ways to supplement James Conner, and that was the biggest question going into the season. And a big tip of the cap. That's tremendous scheme and play calling from Drew Petzing there, and for him to kind of him and Nick Rawlis both to kind of have their moments in the second half after having two kind of setbacks or downfalls, collapses in the first two games. For them to kind of have a signature moment each is huge and something you can parlay into further success.
I'm being told we have the clip of JG in the post-game presser. Let's go to JG on his thoughts following the Cardinals' upset win against the Dallas Cowboys.
They fought and they played hard, and it's what we've been doing for 2 weeks. I told them right there that the difference of the game was we didn't beat ourselves and we made some plays. Execution was good there. Obviously, a lot of things to clean up, but some guys stepped up, made some big-time plays, but we didn't beat ourselves, and we made the plays that we needed to make.
Act like you've been there before. Subdued and just going about his business. Probably knows he should have had a W each of these first 2 weeks. Not going to take these for granted. Never going to apologize for a win, Bo Brock. I mean, Jonathan Gannon, all business. Because, again, they enjoy this today. They're on to San Francisco next week. You can be humbled in this league real quick. And I'm incredibly happy. We talk about it every Monday we meet on our show on PHNX Cardinals. I did not want this team to have it hanging over them of a winless season. I wanted this to be secured early so Kyler wouldn't have to come back and play Superman, for Gannon and everybody else to put away all the nonsense and the garbage about being an underdog in 17 games. But, Bo, I mean, how big is it to get a dub early before K1 comes back? What does that do to the confidence of this team?
I mean, it's through the roof. There's belief in the locker room that they can compete with anybody, and they competed with each of the three teams that they've played to start the season. And I know probably the biggest test comes next week. And, I mean, I don't know if you could ask for a better time for this win, going on the road and facing arguably the top team in the NFC in the San Francisco 49ers in week 4. I mean, to say, could they shock the world again? I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and just enjoy this, but everybody's bought in. I mean, the entire locker room, coaching staff, front office, everybody's 100% hook, line, and sinker bought in to what's going on. And, it gives them, not only does it kind of just vindicate those people that bought in, so early on, to see it kind of happen this early and validate those people, but it also shuts up all the idiots that were talking about 0-17. All those people like the Mike Florios and the people on nationally syndicated radio saying, 0-17 is a realistic, possibility for this team. Man, do they look stupid after 3 weeks of the season, as this team's been competing with each and every one of the teams in front of them. I mean, it's just a true testament to this coaching staff, this front office, that they're bought into everything that's being preached to them from the top. The GM spot from Monty Ossenfort, who was out there greeting and congratulating every single player and coach, headed back in the locker room post-dub, and then Jonathan Gannon and his whole coaching staff. Just you love to see it, and I think it's absolutely something that can go such a long way for this organization that's been kind of rudderless before this.
BG, how big is it that Kyler Murray can come back now and say, I don't have to worry about this team going winless. I can win as many games as I'm meant to win this year in 2023.
I think it takes a lot of pressure off of Kyler. You see him come back in week 5, week 6, and they're still winless. That's a lot of pressure put on his shoulders. We better win games when he comes back, or then, everybody's on his case of ship him out of here. He's not winning games. Right? The fact that he's got to win, he doesn't have to come back and try to chase the first win. I think it's a lot of pressure off of his shoulders. I think it allows him to come back in, be free, and just play his game and have success.
How poetic is it that Kazir White got this pick, Bo Brock, to seal this game? I mean, just to be JG's guy, his boy from Philadelphia. Really the only marquee addition that they signed, marquee, in the offseason. JG says, nope, I got to have that guy along with Nick Rawlis to run my defense.
Yeah, I mean, and he was asked about that. And, he said that JG basically put his reputation on the line. And there are coaches, Britton, right? There are coaches that believe in you, and they show that trust in you, and you don't want to let them down. And that's the relationship between Kazir and JG, and Kazir and Nick Rawlis. They went out there, they gave him, the 2-year, $12 million deal for him to come. Last year was basically his first time being a full-time player. And they believed him. They put him in that position, for the first time really in his career. And then they said, hey, come do it in Arizona. Be like the only marquee guy that we're going to pick up on the free agent wire and kind of spend a little bit on. and prove everybody why we did that and why, they were wrong by not saying, hey, this is a big move for the Cardinals. That everybody's talking about, hey, they're not doing this, this, and that, but they go out there and they get a guy who had 14 tackles, one off, the modern day record for the Arizona Cardinals, and then has the game sealing pick. Now, we asked Kazir what was going through his head during that pick, because it seemed like in his mind it was up there forever. Don't drop it, he said. And he couldn't believe that Dak threw it. He couldn't believe Dak threw it that way. I still haven't looked at the replay to see if anybody was in the vicinity, but it felt like he was almost targeting Kazir on that play. It was so bad.
Yeah, well, they were trying to run the little – it's like he fakes blocking the safety and pops up right there through the middle of the end zone. And I think Dak – if Dak could take that throw back, 100% he would. He'd put a little bit more zip on it. I think he just tried to float it up there, and by the time it got up there, it was just – it hung up there for too long. But I understand what Kazir White's saying, and just don't drop it. Sometimes that easiest ball in the world to catch is the hardest one to come down with, because you got to think about catching it.
That's right.
So that's the tough part. So I know exactly where he's coming from when he says, just don't drop this ball.
We're going to hear from –
Go ahead, I got to tell you, like, for the first time in a long time, like, there were a couple of those plays in this game, and Britton, it had me thinking back to the B8 days, because we haven't seen it where there were that wide open of players or guys that had opportunities to make plays where, like, the only thing standing in their way was themselves in between the ears, right? Like the Michael Wilson play, or Joshua Dobbs running wide open in open space. Like, we haven't seen that. Like, everything has been like man to man, and so they made it so tough on themselves for so long, and it seems like defensively, offensively, they put themselves in great opportunities to make big plays, and that is refreshing as a Cardinals fan.
Oh, yeah, and that's all you can ask for is you got to get out of your own way in this league.
Yeah.
If you hurt yourself in this league, nothing goes right for you. But if you can get out and stop making mental mistakes and not doing the dumb stuff, then you can win a lot of football games in this league.
It's fired up to see the engagement in the chat, fired up to see the engagement at State Farm Stadium. Bo, we talked about, like, is this like the first step to letting people know, like, this is a safe place to watch good football again? Like, may not have the best players this year, not the most talented team, but, like, it's a product that you and your family, your friends can come and watch competitive football take place again. Because for a long time, it may not have looked like, Denver Broncos 70 points today allowed, but it was just not competent football. And now it's like, even after last week's loss to the Giants, back-to-back weeks of home performances, I think this team can feel good about. Certainly today, showing your home crowd, like the people that showed up in red and white Cardinal jerseys, basically telling Dallas Cowboy fans, get the F out of our stadium. It's a great thing for the Valley. And I don't think it can be overstated how big of a deal that is.
No, it's huge. It's no longer like gimmick football. It's no longer empty calorie football where, you can come out, you can see a couple plays here and there. Your home team, maybe you get a win. It hasn't been the case the last 2 years, but now you're going to see guys just compete their ass off, believe and buy into the process. And if they do, and if they execute, they're going to win the football game. And it hasn't been that way for a long time. It hasn't been that way since, 2017. Last year, Bruce Arians, and it's really nice to see it. Like, they're adults now making the decisions for the Arizona Cardinals, and it's paying off because they're putting their guys already. Even though it might not be a roster that's up to par to really truly contend in the NFL, but they got guys that are out there and they're trying to win their one-on-one battles each and every play. And at the end of the day, after a final 60 minutes, they finally have come off with a dub. And yeah, I mean, nobody wants to see a bunch of people overpaid, underperform, but to see guys who aren't maybe getting paid that much money compete their ass off and beat guys who are making, 10 times more than they are and get way more, notoriety nationally. And to see like a 6-rounder Keitrell Clark compete his ass off against the CeeDee Lamb and break up a touchdown late in the game. It's just, that has to get you fired up as a fan.
Want to get to a couple of comments here from Josh Dobbs at the presser, but first I want to tell everybody about our friends at OG's. Perfect opportunity. Enjoy a well-deserved Cardinal dub. Pop in OG's. Enjoy your evening. Watch some Sunday Night Football. Again, stuck on what kind of gummies to get? OG's is your premier gummy here in the Valley. The decision is 420 times easier with the fruits and the creams. mixed bag. They've got red apple, watermelon, peach, my favorite, the orange creamsicle. And again, the fruits and creams are available in both Sunny Sativa and Mellow Indica blend, allowing you to customize your OG's experience based on mood or time of day. I know you're a big fan. Which flavor is your favorite of the OGs?
I don't know if I have a favorite flavor.
Yeah. Just kind of like a
just mixed bag.
Just ready to rock and roll, just whatever
It's
comes
candy.
out. Yeah, it's
just candy.
Yeah, it doesn't
Good
take-
candy.
Good candy, that's right. Check out our friends at OG's Brands for yourself. Try one or few of their many delicious flavors across all socials, especially at OG's Brands, online at ogsbrands.com. Got to find a local dispensary to find one here locally, and you got to be 21 years or older. You think Jonathan Gannon needs a pair of Shady Rays, Bo Brock, as he's driving around the valley this week?
Absolutely. Put on those futures bright for this organization. Got to have some shades to, of course, protect those eyes of JGs and, of course, protect your own. And don't spend or break the bank while doing so. What they've got going on at ShadyRays.com, you can save yourself 50% on 2 or more pairs of premium polarized sunglasses, and they look great. They're sturdy. There, of course, you've got the no questions asked. If you lose or break your Shady Rays, they're going to replace them for you right then and there. Check out their store up in Kierland Commons, North Scottsdale. You can use the promo code PHNX. Tell them you're watching PHNX Cardinals. You were watching that big Cardinals dub. And you were inspired to go get some nice eyewear. Or you could also check out their full product line at ShadyRays.com. Use that promo code PHNX, 50% off 2 or more pairs of premium solar polarized sunglasses. Check out what 250,000 people are rating 5 stars online. Shady Rays.
Josh Dobbs feeling the rays of love from the Valley and everybody else at the postgame press conference. Here's QB1 right now for the Arizona Cardinals after the win against Dallas.
You definitely can. Obviously, victories help that, right? But you can, just the conversations, the interpersonal conversations on the sideline. Offense comes out, scores. Defense is great job. All right, we got you. Defense, they're on the field for a long time. All right, offense, we need you right here. And offense going out, responding and putting together a scoring drive. So special teams, right? We had a huge return by Dortch to set us up to get down, to kick the field goal. Special teams, just being able to play that complementary football is all about chemistry as a team. And so as we continue to have success, it will just only grow. Yeah. I was mic'd up, so I'm interested to see what I said on the mic. Hopefully they cut some stuff out so my mom doesn't get mad at me. But I was pretty fired up. Talk about finish. That was huge. You get all the way down there. You want to make it a 2-possession game. You get it that close to the end zone. They did a great job selling out a 0, but Hollywood did a better job beating his defender across the field. And for me, Hollywood, we know the speed that he has is a foot race, and so just got to make sure he doesn't outrun the ball. It was a great moment of finishing, put the momentum back, and let our defense go out and be able to play and finish off the game with a 2-possession lead.
I mean,
Josh,
Go ahead, Bo.
And Josh Dobbs also talked about how great it was and satisfying. This guy's from playing at Tennessee, 4th-round pick, holding the clipboard behind Ben Roethlisberger for so long, getting his opportunity last year for a cup of tea with the Tennessee Titans, and now getting his first NFL victory as a quarterback. It was a long road, but also getting to see all those Dallas fans leave State Farm Stadium early was very satisfying for everybody. But he was talking about that Hollywood Brown touchdown where I thought Dobbs did a great job just putting it in a place where only Hollywood could get that ball.
Oh, and he did. And me and Johnny were talking earlier about some low red zone plays, and I had said something about crosses. The crossing play down there is amazing because you're going to catch them in some type of 0, some type of man. You got 2 guys crossing across the field. That's where guys get tripped up. They kick feet. But Dobbs did a hell of a job of putting that ball out in front of Hollywood where he was the only one that could get to that ball. So it was either Hollywood's ball or nobody's ball. It's either a touchdown or you settle for the field goal. And he did a great job with placement where only Hollywood could get it, and he made the catch and got the touchdown.
I'm doing my math here. Dobbs should have a quarterback rating of over 90 after this game for the season after 3 games. Bo, we were talking about it. To do this on a team that's stacked, let's say with quality personnel, like a San Francisco, somebody like the Jets maybe, okay, you can be, a nice footnote during the NFL season. But I can't imagine a guy gaining more followers, people to earn his respect and vice versa. When you're doing this on a team that's supposed to be tanking, that's supposed to not have a quality offensive line or good skilled players or an inexperienced offensive coordinator, Josh Dobbs, whether it's here or elsewhere, is going to be able to go to people around the NFL and say, look what I did. I should have been 2-1, maybe 3-0 in my first 3 games after being there for a week and a half. I can't say more good things about it. And you know this, we were pro getting Josh Dobbs. We wanted Josh Dobbs in the spring. We knew they had interest. They buffered at it. They balked at it. They brought him in. And like, I thought he'd play well. There is no reality in which I thought he was going to play this well, this efficient.
Yeah, some of the plays on third down, I think the mobility, it's one of those things that sneak up on you. And he has given himself opportunities nobody would have foreseen from Joshua Dobbs by the way he's played out of the gates here in the 2023 season. 17 for 21, 189. He had the touchdown pass. He took care of the football, took some shots in there too, was able to hold on to the football too. It's been, obviously he had the issue with fumbling in the first week of the season. And then the 55 yards on the ground for Dobbs as well. I mean, I think what this Cardinals team, they've been able to do is really give some opportunities to guys that never received them in their NFL careers and put them on full display so that they could either further their NFL career here or elsewhere. But other than that, like they did their all the scouting, everything, all the heavy lifting as far as identifying players that are shining for them right now, from Dobbs to Kazir White. They put in the work, and it's paying off for those guys, and that's huge, and you love to see it.
You also love to see this. How about this? The QB1 of the Arizona Cardinals. He's not healthy yet. He's not ready just yet, but he is showing love, BG and Brack, to his head coach. K1 responding to a post from the team social. Jonathan Gannon winning his first. K1 chiming in. First of many for my guy, Jonathan Gannon. How about that, Brack? You get to see the support from the franchise quarterback who BG and I talked about it, has got to be licking his chops to come back to a team that can pass protect and run the football. 2 things that, frankly, have been foreign to this franchise while Kyler Murray has been here.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's got to be pumped just to see things just play out as far as the scheme and how it goes and how it translates to big plays on the field and where the team was. It felt like light years behind where they are right now, which is crazy when you had like an offensive-minded head coach as the former head coach of this team. Man, he's got to be pumped about that. Dobbs gets 2 sacks. Of course, Micah Parsons is at least going to get 1, right? And it looked like they might have even jumped on that play. But, the offensive line is really doing a great job. And Dobbs echoed that in his postgame. And when I asked him about Micah Parsons, how they were able to kind of just keep him to one big play, he's like, well, those guys, our guys get paid too, and they're putting in the work, and it's paying off huge for our offensive line, according to Josh Dobbs. So, of course, QB1 is got to love what he's seeing so far from the offense, even though he's probably chomping at the bit to get out there.
BG is a former return man. We haven't even touched on this, Bo. The Greg Dortch return at the end of the half to get them 3 points to make it a 2-possession game. As a former return man yourself, like, how big was that instance? Because you and I sat here and we were like, I think they should kneel it. I don't think they should try to screw around, take your 8-point lead, go into the half. But what Dortch did to set up Prater, I think, was an invaluable point to the game that a lot of people aren't going to talk about.
It was a huge point. Because when you sit there and think about it, if he fair catches that ball, you've got the ball on the 25, 30-yard line, wherever it was. I think he get 15, 20 yards on that return at that point? 19 yards. So essentially that's 2 first downs that the team doesn't have to go get.
Yeah.
Right? So now you're already in contention. You're already 2 plays away from field goal range. So you've got to give Greg Dortch a ton of credit on that return, because he went out there, he said, look, I'm going to field this punt, and I'm going to do what I can to help this team get some points before we go to halftime. He did it. He did his job. He exceeded his job, and that's exactly what you want to see from your return man.
This is exactly what we want to see. Thank you so much to everybody liking this video. We're going to get back to these super chats because there are more to read. Thomas, $10. It was effing great watching Dallas fans leave the stadium. Absolutely, Thomas. Again, we've touched on it. Don't come into the stadium under JG and company and expect an easy dub, if a dub at all. Marcus, $2. I meant 4-hour show. Sorry. We'll be as long as you guys allow us to be on. That's the beauty of YouTube and here at PHNX Cardinals. That's the beauty of this post-game show. Dirt Bike Boy, 714, $1.99. Draft Cam Tabo.
Scatabo. He's the ASU running back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. I definitely knew that. Listen, the Cardinals need another back complimentary to James Conner. But Bo, I think we're kind of in agreement. BG and I talked about it. It's probably going to come next year. Like Keontae Ingram, Dermacado, like they are what they are. James Conner, just ride him out this year. Maybe set him farewell after this season and go draft a back in the second or third round. But I don't think they're going to go out and add a compliment this year. I think this is the group that they're going to roll with.
Yeah, I think that James Conner, you did pretty well in the first couple of years of your release, and you got some mileage to work with in the final year, right? So you just rack it up. You're driving them everywhere. You're going down the street you're taking the garbage out. You're driving your car. You're just going to take it down to the end of the driveway. I mean, you're going to use it for everything. Might as well, because otherwise it's somebody else that's going to benefit from it. And James Conner, man, he looks fresh. He looks great. He's running between the tackles. He's pushing it outside. He's 14 carries for 98 yards. He's doing everything that he's been asked for. He's leading the guys in the locker room. Man, you got to love it as far as what James Conner has put on tape so far this season for the Arizona Cardinals, and really leading this offense where it wants to go, and really setting the tone for the offensive team that they want to be, and really establishing the run early on.
Sean in the chat, who's one of our favorites, PHNX Sun Devils, giving me the business. It's pronounced Scataboo, and he's a dog.
Yeah.
Listen, we commended ASU's performance on the pregame show earlier today, and I feel like ASU walked so the Arizona Cardinals could run today with their upset special. You love to see that. I want to get back to these super chats because there's one in particular I want to call out. You guys are all fantastic, but how about this? Free matter for the blind, perfect transition, Bo, Brack, and BG. $5. My first game as a PHNX diehard. Coincidence? I think not. It's not a coincidence. Right now, become a diehard like our guy Free Matter for the blind, and maybe they're going to go undefeated the rest of the year. I don't know about that, BG, but we've got premier hats, shirts, apparel. How about this? Go PHNX.com. 90% of the content is free. Not like those other sites that want to nickel and dime you. You become a diehard, you get everything. If you just go to GoPHNX.com, podcast library. How about Howard Balzer's rapid reaction article that's going to be up in a mere several hours? And again, like, we're in the lab, we're working on some new gear, but in the meantime, how about the Bird Gang t-shirt, one of my hats, the white or the black, they're fantastic. Die Hard, jump in the Discord. People are losing their minds right now in the Discord, and you get 20% off all current and future events with PHNX. Again, become a diehard. Bo Brock, you host a little podcast this coming Tuesday with somebody who's a diehard themselves, has a diehard t-shirt. That's one of the hottest selling pieces of merch that we got going on right now.
Yeah, you got to get that Greg Dortch t-shirt now. You can make it part of your diehard, make it your one shirt for the year, get it for free. Just sign up today. Go PHNX.com, the PHNXlocker.com. Can't wait to talk to GD this weekend on Tuesday. Break down this dub, break down that big 19-yard punt return, and all the things that went into getting this win. Holding on, finishing against the Dallas Cowboys, making it, with 4 minutes left in the game. I mean, they were able to kind of put this thing away and make it kind of anticlimactic, even though we got to see Dak Prescott make another bad play in the red zone, which was fantastic.
I want to pose this super chat to you, BG. $4.99, no F's given. Don't forget, Keitrell Clark locked up Lamb for the majority of the game. Is he their cornerback one right now? Is a 6th-round rookie?
As a 6th-round rookie, for him to go out there and play like he did today on an all-pro receiver, he showed you what he can be and what he can do going forward, and the maturity level that he's gotten to now at such a young age and 3 weeks into the season. That's exactly what you want to see out of cornerback number one. And I think he's got the talent. He's got all the tools to be that guy. He's just got to keep playing and making the plays.
Yeah, I think, Bo, Keitrell Clark is this time next year where he's going to be at, I think is going to be a guy who's pushing for like Pro Bowl votes. I think we're seeing right now a young man still work through the transition of going from the ACC and the Big 12 or the ACC and Louisville, right, to a nice complimentary player to like Jonathan Gannon is not asking him to go up against CeeDee Lamb if he doesn't believe that eventually like he can blossom into a big time player. Now I know I'm going out on a limb and I'm saying that I think he's going to be a stalwart of the secondary. I have never ever in the history of watching this team seen a head coach tell a late round rookie, you're going to be our cornerback one to begin the year, because that's what he is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I was encouraged when I saw Marco Wilson. They picked up the PI flag late in that game. I thought he made a real good play and was rewarded for it down the stretch. But he had a bit of a bounce back. I know he missed the tackle at one point, but a big pass breakup for Marco. But for Clark to go up against CeeDee Lamb and hold him to under 60 yards receiving, just a fantastic performance from a guy that, people were counting out and weren't paying enough attention to during the draft process. And the Arizona Cardinals, I mean, they were pretty confident they were going to get a Keitrell Clark, and they were patient, and they picked him up in the 6th round, and they got him right up to speed, right where he needs to be. And I think he's paying them off by being ahead of schedule. And then we'll see what happens when Garrett Williams comes back potentially from the non-football injury list off of his ACL tear from almost a year ago now, from when it suffered it at Notre Dame. So they've got two pretty intriguing young corners that they drafted in 2023. It's exciting for Cards fans.
It's exciting. We're going to wrap these super chats up here because you guys have been fantastic. Then we're going to get to the Houston Texans tracker. Alex, $1.99. Can't forget about Prater's 62-yard money kick, $1.99. How about Prater making the 62-yarder and then in the second half makes the 51-yarder? Then they called off because of the penalty. Then has to come back again and hit another field goal. I mean, Prater, to me, just lock him up for a Pro Bowl berth after the first start of the season. I think he's missed one field goal thus far this year. That 62-yarder, Bo Brock, I mean, it looked good here on the TV, obviously, because it was good, but it was like a line drive. I think we've got a photo of it here from producer Damon. It was one of the better kicks that I've seen him make during his Cardinal tenure.
Yeah, 62 yards. He snuck it through, but, for him to be so reliable and to have that kind of weapon as you kind of force the 3 and out, or get Dallas's offense off the field, and then you're able to just, with the big punt return as BG outlined, and then able to capitalize on that with the weapon that you have in Matt Prater is so huge. And then for him, like, I know what you're trying to do. Obviously, you take that penalty 10 times out of 10, and they ran like 20, 30 seconds off the clock at that point. For him to be able to go out there and hit the field goal just like he did before the penalty was called, to have that consistency, it's not a lot. Like there are so many teams. There's probably a dozen of them each and every year that are looking for a guy that consistent. And for them to have that, it's just one of those things you don't have to worry about.
No, agreed. And that's all you want. I mean, you don't want to have to, as a coach, as a player, you don't want to go into any situation where you have worry. So I think the consistency of Prater and having him as a veteran kicker and having him in here and him being able to go out there, like you said, he missed one kick and it was his first kick of the year, essentially. Yep. I mean, we'll take that. I mean, a 62-yard field goal in any case, in any situation that's just a hope and a prayer anyway that it goes through. So the fact that you can get it and with the consistency from to come back, hit another 51-yard bomb, like you said, and, Prater's doing what he's supposed to do as your kicker.
Let's get back to some of these super chats. This next one, Bo Brock, I believe from the new regime, friend of the program, $4.99. Bo, did you get clarification on Zaven Collins' injury and when he's expected to return? It looked like he got poked in the eye and did not return to the game.
Yeah, it was brutal, man. I mean, he went down immediately, and it was Jonathan Gannon's not too concerned about it. He said just basically got poked in the eye, nothing that's going to be long-term. And then Chris Barnes went out in the game, which was a big loss because then you had primarily a special teamer and Zeke Turner. He was playing the reps at linebacker. That's a position that they don't have a ton of depth at, with Josh Woods on the shelf with an ankle injury and Owen Papo being the youngster that he is, 5th-round pick out of Auburn. You can be excited about Papo, but is he ready to play right now? Apparently not. So they rolled with Zeke Turner, who has some defensive snaps under his belt at this stage in his career, and he played well. So monitor the Barnes injury. It's a hand injury going forward, and Zaven's probably his eye probably looks gnarly, but hopefully nothing he'll miss any time with.
Jalen Blair, great point in the super chat. Great showing by the Cardinals in what became a nationally televised game because the Chicago Bears wet the bed, and they had to cut from it because Fox, for whatever reason, keeps showcasing the Bears. So hopefully they flex out the rest of the year. But as far as the Cardinals go, great recruiting tool showing what's being built in Arizona. Absolutely, Jalen Blair. And speaking of what's being built, how are their draft picks standing up? They took a hit today. That's okay. They got the dub. Let's go to our Houston Texans tracker. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they broke our hearts today and broke one of my parlays, unfortunately. However, again, Cardinals win, so it makes that pill a little easier to swallow. They've got a couple tough matchups on the horizon, but Yeah, Jaguars, man. That was just CJ Stroud. You give him credit, BG. We were talking about it when we got here. Like, unfortunately for the Cardinals, he looks the most competent of all the rookie quarterbacks.
Of all of them. And he's I mean, last week he threw for about 300 plus yards and a few touchdowns. This week he threw for close to 300 and a touchdown, maybe 2. I didn't see the end line, but he's playing well. And me and Dane were talking about it earlier. He might be the best Ohio State quarterback to show up and actually produce.
Is CJ Stroud a better player than Justin Fields right now?
Well, yeah. If you want to go look at the stat line, that's a massive.
It's a big time yikes, isn't it? Yeah. Final thoughts here for a podcast, a show, a post game that I will not be untransparent here. That has been waiting for a day like this for a long time. Shifted through the muck of last season, the embarrassments on and off the field, coaching search, free agency, draft, training camp, preseason. Bo Brack. Final thoughts today for an Arizona Cardinal fan base that deserved this win.
Yeah, it was they got it right. They got it right. As far as the GM, they got the head coach right, and I think he picked out some pretty stellar candidates as far as his primary play callers on the offensive and defensive side of the football. And it's shutting up the national narrative that this team is tanking almost immediately. I mean, we're week 3, the 2023 season. Arizona Cardinals have already shut that off. And I mean, we probably would have liked to see it, a couple weeks earlier, but to see it come against the Dallas Cowboys and as well as they were playing coming into this game, it's immediately right off the bat a signature win for Jonathan Gannon. You couldn't ask for anything better than that.
You told me earlier it's fun to watch Cardinal football again on Sundays. How did we get here?
We finished. We finished this week, and that's really the answer to everything. The first 2 weeks we just didn't finish at the end. And it's kudos to, as Bo said, to the coaching staff, to the people in charge that brought these coaches in and brought the players in with the attitudes and the will to want to go out there and win. So, I mean, like I said, it's fun to watch Cardinal football again. It's fun to see them go out there and compete and know that you have a chance to win a game every time you step out, because it's been really bleak the last few years and trying to get wins. So to get a win at home, finally, against the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, what a hell of a first win for JG.
It's the antithesis of how this team has been built the last 10 years. We're flush a bunch of aging talent. We're going to go out there and athlete people by big names, bloated salaries. Today it was won by guys that were frankly afterthoughts in the NFL. Josh Dobbs was QB3 at the end of training camp with the Cleveland Browns, right? You look at a lot of these names defensively, practice squad level players, late round draft picks. You've got your stars in James Conner, Hollywood Brown making plays, but they were even given up by other franchises. Hollywood in Baltimore, James Conner in Pittsburgh. I think today is about a new era being built with Arizona Cardinal football that's bigger than the individual player or players. It's bigger than Kyler Murray and Budda Baker. It's about the culture that's being built and restoring the bird here. And that's why we call it Bo Brack and BG pre-flight. I want everybody right now to go to their smartphone, their mobile device, subscribe to PHNX Cardinals wherever you get your podcast. We will drop exclusive audio-only podcasts as well as these live shows here on YouTube on this. It's the only place you can get them because it is your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. We are back on our first Victory Monday in a hot minute tomorrow. But in the meantime, Britton Golden, Bo Brack, live from State Farm Stadium. I'm Johnny Venerable. Enjoy this dub. We'll see you next time.